When it comes to action cameras, the first name that almost certainly pops into our minds is GoPro, a brand once inseparable from extreme jumps, massive waves, and breathtaking moments that had never been captured before. GoPro didn't just sell a camera, they sold a sense of adventure, a lifestyle, a dream of pushing human limits. There was a time when the GoPro logo appeared everywhere, on helmets, surfboards, and in YouTube videos with millions of views. Yet the irony is this. From a global icon, GoPro gradually turned into a cautionary tale. Revenue plunged, products became saturated, ambitions soared high, only to fall freely without breaks. The big question is, what really happened to GoPro? Was it the changing market, the rise of competitors, or were it internal missteps that dragged them toward the edge? How could a brand that once shaped, even created, an entirely new market end up stumbling and declining so rapidly? From the peak of fame to a long, thorny descent, this is the story we will dissect together to uncover the costly lessons behind GoPro's downturn. Before we get into the video, if you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover, leave a comment below this video. And now, let's dive into the story. Alright, let's rewind time a bit and return to where it all began. Most great technology empires are born from a flash of inspiration, a eureka moment inside a modern laboratory, right? But for GoPro, that fateful moment didn't happen among advanced machines. It happened out at sea, amid salty winds and crashing waves. The main character of this story is Nick Woodman, a true surfer, and this journey began in Australia. Nick had a very simple, very practical problem. How could he film his own peak surfing moments without spending a fortune hiring a professional film crew? It may sound trivial, even personal, but from that seemingly minor need, a quiet revolution was sparked. Nick didn't set out to create a blockbuster tech product. He simply wanted to capture his own experiences in the most free and authentic way possible. The idea took shape in 2002, and just 2 years later, in 2004, the first camera was born. A crude 35mm film camera, yet one that carried an entirely new spirit. Compact, durable, and wearable. From there, GoPro began to spread beyond the surfing community, winning over snowboarders, mountain bikers, and thrill seekers around the world. Fast forward to 2013, and GoPro entered its golden era. Revenue skyrocketed. The brand achieved global reach, and the company prepared for a spectacular debut on the stock market. In 2014, GoPro went public, becoming one of the most anticipated IPOs of its time. From an idea born in the open sea, GoPro had risen to become the symbol of an entire generation. And here we are, officially entering GoPro's peak era, its true golden age. At this point, GoPro was no longer just a piece of technology. It had risen to become a global cultural phenomenon. So how exactly did they manage to conquer the world? The answer lies in the numbers. And as we all know, numbers never lie. In 2013 alone, GoPro's revenue reached nearly $1 billion, a truly staggering figure that clearly reflected the scale of success they had achieved. But what was even more astonishing was this. GoPro didn't just participate in the action camera market, they dominated it. In the United States, nearly half of the action camera market belonged to GoPro. This was no longer the story of a best-selling brand, but the story of a name that had redefined an entire category. When people talked about action cameras, they didn't ask which one should I buy. They asked directly, should I buy a GoPro or not? Wall Street, of course, could not ignore this phenomenon. The 2014 IPO valued GoPro at nearly $3 billion, making it one of the most anticipated market debuts of its time. This was not just a financial transaction, it was a stamp of approval confirming that GoPro had officially entered the ranks of A-list technology stars, standing shoulder to shoulder with other big names from Silicon Valley. Yet GoPro's true strength did not lie solely in its hardware. What they sold was not simply a camera, but experiences and emotions. GoPro became an indispensable companion on every adventure. From snow-covered mountain peaks and the depths of the ocean to dusty off-road trails. From that, a massive global community was formed, where users were both customers and content creators. GoPro was not just a brand. It was a symbol of freedom, adventure, and a limitless lifestyle. At that moment in time, it seemed as though nothing could possibly go wrong. However, as people often say, no party lasts forever. Even while standing at the peak of glory, the first cracks in the GoPro empire had quietly begun to appear. While the spotlight had not yet faded, signs of instability were already emerging, though at the time, very few people truly noticed them. So what exactly went wrong? How could a brand that once shaped and even dominated an entire industry lose its way so quickly? This is the central question, and also the core of the entire story. Because GoPro's decline was not a sudden overnight collapse, but a long, gradual process with far-reaching consequences, i.e., it did not stem from a single mistake or one fatal decision. Instead, it was the result of a chain of flawed choices, accumulating and compounding over the years. Each decision may have seemed reasonable at the time, but when put together, they formed a slippery slope that GoPro could no longer break in time. Overambitious goals, an inconsistent product strategy, risky moves that went far beyond core capabilities, along with rapid changes in the market and consumer behavior. All of these factors combined to push GoPro out of its dominant position. More importantly, the brand gradually lost the sharp instinct that had once been the foundation of its success. And to truly understand how an icon could weaken so quickly, we now need to take a deeper look at the 6 main reasons that step-by-step dragged GoPro downward. 6 pieces, 6 different mistakes. But together, they created the unstoppable downfall of an empire that once stood at the top of the world. GoPro's downward journey did not happen in a single moment, but rather as a simultaneous slide across multiple fronts. Ironically, the first front to collapse was the very market that GoPro itself had created and once dominated absolutely. When action cameras were no longer a novelty, when consumer curiosity gradually faded, the market quickly fell into saturation. Growth slowed, demand no longer exploded, and GoPro found itself playing a game whose rules had completely changed. Let's begin with the first reason, one that sounds paradoxical, yet proved to be critical: durability. One of GoPro's greatest strengths ultimately became its own Achilles heel. GoPro's products were simply too good. The cameras were rugged, impact-resistant, waterproof, and capable of operating in the harshest conditions. Our users could buy a single GoPro and use it for many years with hardly any serious malfunction. For consumers, that was value. For the business, it was a problem. When the old device still worked perfectly, there was no strong motivation for customers to buy a new version. GoPro could be considered a one-trick specialist. But this very specialization made GoPro extremely inconvenient for everyday use. For the majority of mainstream users, GoPro was not a camera they carried daily. After a few uses, the device was quickly forgotten in a drawer. When a product does not become a habit, the purchase cycle stretches longer, and sales therefore struggle to sustain growth. Then came the truly fatal blow: the smartphone. The smartphone's greatest advantage was not its specifications, but the fact that it was always in everyone's pocket. In the comparison between a dedicated device you must remember to bring and a phone that is always with you, GoPro gradually lost right from the starting line. GoPro also failed to convince existing customers to upgrade. New models mostly offered incremental improvements. Users asked themselves, "My old GoPro is still great, so why should I spend more money?" GoPro tried to expand into other areas. The most notable example was the Karma drone. This was not just a failed product. It was a technical disaster. The drone suffered serious defects, forcing the company into a massive recall. Hundreds of millions of dollars evaporated, consumer trust was severely damaged, and GoPro's image began to crack. The final issue, and also the most fundamental one, lay in brand image. GoPro seemed to be trapped within the extreme sports image it had created more than a decade earlier. What was once its greatest competitive advantage gradually turned into a mold that was too tight. As the world changed, as user needs expanded beyond extreme jumps and heart-stopping action shots, GoPro remained tightly attached to a customer segment that was steadily shrinking. The brand failed to refresh its own story in time to become more relatable to the broader audience. The consequences of this misalignment were quickly reflected in the financial figures. Within just 1 year, GoPro's revenue fell by as much as 20%. This was no longer a short-term fluctuation or a mild cyclical downturn. It was a red alarm bell, signaling that the old growth model was no longer effective, and that the brand was facing serious difficulties in maintaining its appeal. As revenue plunged, investor confidence declined. Pressure on management intensified, and the downward spiral began to feed itself. GoPro's story is no longer just the story of a company that sells action cameras. It has become a classic lesson in business and brand strategy. Creating a new market is still not enough. What is harder is surviving and continuing to grow once the market has matured and become saturated. Past success can quickly turn into a burden if a company does not dare to reinvent itself. A larger question is raised for the technology world. Could today's icon become tomorrow's cautionary tale? If you've watched the entire video, please give the team a like and share to support us. If there's any topic you'd like us to cover, I'd leave a comment below the video.